You're listening to the Love Over Addiction podcast. Hey, it's Michelle. Okay, I love how I say that. Of course it's Michelle. This is my podcast. Why would I be anybody different? Anyways, here's the deal. We've been doing new formats for our podcasts. What do you guys think? I would love to hear your thoughts. Are you enjoying the interviews? Are you enjoying the kind of personal questions from me? How are you liking the idea of getting our community to give us helpful tips? Please let us know. You guys, I promise you, we love your feedback. You can email us at info@loveoveraddiction.com. Keeping a quiet mouth. One of my biggest struggles in life, truly. Staying quiet is sometimes the healthiest choice, and sometimes we need to speak up. So how do we know we should say something about their drinking or drugs or poor choices or hurtful behavior? And how do we know when to walk away and keep a quiet mouth? If you're struggling with that very question, then we have you covered. Go to loveoveraddiction.com/127 and you'll get your free guide sheet with the quiz because we want to keep it fun. This free quiz will help you arrive at the perfect decision to speak up or just let it go. Again, loveoveraddiction.com/127 to get your free guide sheet. Okay, so today I'm going to answer a question from somebody in our secret Facebook group. And it is a secret Facebook group for those of you that are new, that's listening. There's a difference. Facebook has different types of groups. There's the secret Facebook group, and then there's the closed Facebook group. We are secret, which is like the highest security level of Facebook, because nobody can tell that the group exists. Like, you can't search for our group. It won't show up. Nobody will be able to see your posts, and nobody is able to even see your member. So it is literally a secret between us and you. And the only way you can become a member is if you join one of our programs. It doesn't matter which one. We currently have 4 programs available. But it is thousands of women that all have these ridiculously empowering, emotional and victorious conversations and shares about our lives and what it's like to love somebody that's going through addiction. And so it's a really, really safe spot, which is why we made it secret, because your confidentiality is our biggest priority. Closed Facebook groups you can search for them. You can see that they're out there on Facebook. That's the difference. I think you can see the members. I'm not quite sure about that though, because I've never been a part of a closed secret Facebook group. So, you guys know what I just said, closed secret. You guys get it. So inside our secret Facebook group, I'm always asking women, what questions do you have? I do Facebook Lives. And one of the women, and I have been noticing this a lot, one of the women asked about a topic that has been coming up a lot in our group. And I was so excited when she asked it because I've been wanting to address this for a while. She asks, does anyone find difficulty in determining the line between alcoholic and narcissist? Are there any, or are they simply blurred? Okay, so here's the deal. Every now and then in the self-help world, a word becomes kind of the it word, right? Or a theory. And typically, not always, but typically, if you dig a little deeper behind the word of the moment, it is usually rooted in a philosopher or a psychologist that has been speaking about this for, since the 1900s. Very rarely is there new data. It's just packaged differently. Okay, so I'll give you some examples. And of course, I'm not going to give you the time frames because you guys know how I am with dates, and I will get it wrong and we'll get emails correcting me. But for a period of time, the word boundaries was super duper duper popular. Like if you did a Google search, you would come up with, hundreds of thousands of people searching the word boundaries. Another example would be codependent or codependency. That was an incredibly popular word. It's actually on the decline. A lot of millennials and new people don't even know the word codependency or know what it means. And so today, I am noticing one of the words that keeps popping up is narcissism. And you can always tell if it's a hot word because you can go to the Barnes & Noble or you can go to the Wall Street Journal and look at book reviews, and you can see how many books are written on this topic. So narcissism and narcissist is definitely becoming a hot word. Now, I am all for research, y'all. I am all for labels. They help us organize data, and I quite enjoy them. But here's my beef with narcissist in our community. I don't care if the one that I love that's struggling with addiction is a narcissist or not. It makes no darn difference what label you put on them in that, other than a person who has a problem with drinking or drugs. So call them an alcoholic, call them an addict, call them a narcissist, call them nothing. Call them whatever you want or nothing at all. It makes no difference. And here's why I get bothered by it. Because sometimes I see women getting so concerned, overly concerned with the label and the diagnosis that they take that energy that should be used for their health and their healing, and they pour it into their loved one and trying to label them and diagnose them. And that is unhealthy. That is enabling. That is a projection, because you are literally putting off your healing to try and heal somebody else. You are avoiding the uncomfortableness and the attention that you need to give your issues to research and find out about somebody else's issues. And there are times where that is appropriate. Like if you have a child that is struggling in school, it's important to diagnose them with dyslexia. It's important to take them to a specialist. Why is it important to take a child, and what is the difference between researching and labeling your kid versus your loved one with addiction? Because your kid is reliant on you for support. Your child is literally and financially and legally your dependent. You were put in charge of their mental and spiritual and physical health when they're younger. So it's your job to get your child diagnosed. If your child is struggling with, social skills or awkwardness or OCD or temper tantrums, I'm not going to give you all the diagnosis for all of those, but that could be Asperger's, or it could be, oppositional defiance disorder. It could be sensory issues. And sensory integration dysfunction. I just told you I wasn't going to do that, but I just did. Anyways, you guys get my point. My point is that there is a very fine difference between a 9-year-old son and your adult grown partner. And the difference is responsibility. Your 9-year-old doesn't have the financial means nor the bandwidth, nor the capabilities logically or the tools emotionally to be able to diagnose themselves, to drive themselves to a doctor, to schedule the appointment. They don't own a credit card, so they can't pay for it and check out, and they don't probably manage their calendar in order to set up the next appointment. Unless you have like a Doogie Howser type of child, and in that case, I want to talk to you for this podcast and you need to tell me your secrets. The adult, the one you love, has everything that I just mentioned. They have the credit cards to make the appointment. Chances are they have a phone. And on that phone, it's probably a smartphone, they have a browser. And the browser is like a Safari or Google or whatever. They have the ability to type in the keyword addiction, help, alcoholic, resources. They have the ability and most likely the time to do that, right? They're not so busy. If they're watching TV or they're looking up scores of a game or they're shopping online or they're doing whatever, they have time to get out that browser on your phone and type in whatever it is that you're looking for help. They have the credit card. They have the phone to make the appointment. They have the car to drive them. Do you see the difference? If you are married to somebody who is an adult, which you should be because I think it's illegal not to be, then this is the wrong place. If you're not married to an adult or you're not in a relationship with an adult, you're listening to the wrong podcast. But seriously, like, you need to be able to make that very clear distinction. If you are, with somebody that suffers from addiction and they are over a certain age, they are responsible for their healing and recovery and diagnosis and professional help. You are not. And by focusing on getting them help, you are neglecting yourself. You are not getting yourself help. Does that make sense? Every time, if you've joined one of our programs, every time that you're during the day or in the evening trying to figure out if they're narcissistic or not, that's time you should be in our program. You're listening and doing your work. And so that's why I have an issue. And that's why I say it does not matter the diagnosis. It is not your job to diagnose. It is not your job to make these appointments for help, because I'm going to state the obvious. Unless they are willing to get the help themselves, they're not going to get better. You can drag them to appointments. You can threaten them. You can guilt them, and maybe it will work for a really short amount of time. But I promise you, unless it comes from a deep desire from them, it does not matter. It will not help. It's temporary. Their sobriety will be temporary. So please, please, don't waste your valuable, precious energy and time trying to figure out what label to put on your loved ones. Here's what you know for sure. You know that their drinking is affecting their life negatively. If your loved one is suffering from drugs and doesn't drink, you know their drug use is probably illegal and is affecting their lives negatively. You know that they have a tendency to lie to you. You know that they are neglecting responsibilities. Or maybe you're married to an extremely successful, very high-functioning person who is suffering from addiction, but it is your relationships, your marriage is being affected when they are in the privacy of their own home by their drinking or drug use. That's all you need to know. That's it. That is all you need to know. That's all you need to do to confirm that there's a problem. Enough said. So you can check that box. There's a problem there, and they need to get help. And if I admit that they have a problem, then I am now empowered to do something about it. What should I do about it? I should get myself some help. I should get myself some support. I should get a therapist. I should join one of Michelle's programs. I should immerse myself in a community that knows what I'm going through, that can offer me advice at 11 o'clock in the evening when I feel all alone and I'm having an anxiety attack because they're not coming home or they're drunk again. These are valuable tools that you can do that will prevent you from getting wrapped up in their addiction. It is empowerment. You are not, I absolutely wholeheartedly do not prescribe to the idea that we are powerless over this disease. I think that's like one of the steps in the AA community or Al-Anon community. I don't know, but it's a very popular slogan in the addiction world. I'm not sure where it comes from. BS. We are not powerless over this disease. We are powerful. We absolutely have empowerment to take control of our lives and get healthy and happy and very, very secure, whether they get sober or not. So you guys, I love you. This is a little harsh for me, but I'm being a little, some of you will respond to it and some of you won't, and that's okay. I just feel such a strong desire. Don't worry about the buzzwords. Do your work. Stay focused. Keep your head in the game. Stay in your own lane. Head down. Keep working. I promise you, you will see results. You will see change. You will feel better. You will. It's not just like lip service. I've seen thousands of women go through this. Don't worry about the diagnosis. Okay. I love you. And next week I will be a little softer. Talk to you later. Okay, wait. I just stopped the recording and then I thought of like 3 more things that I wanted to say really quickly. So here's the deal. I'm going to pause. You're going to hear from me. We're going to take a break for a second and then I'm going to come back and say those 3 important things. So hang with me, okay? The other day, I was sitting at the dining room table with my 8-year-old, Henry, and I got up too quickly and somehow managed to bang my elbow in the place where it really hurts. I know it's not called a funny bone because I think that's on your knee, but whatever that bone is on your elbow, that really hurts. My first reaction was to yell out a whole bunch of super profane swear words, but I looked over at this little blonde, curly-haired boy who was staring at his mom with 2 innocent blue eyes, and I decided to keep a quiet mouth. Have you ever been in the position with your loved one where all you really want to do is yell or swear or just get angry because they're not getting sober? But you know that trying to express your anger with someone who has an addiction usually leads to even more anger and frustration and defensiveness. Have you heard me talk about keeping a quiet mouth and wonder, how the heck am I going to emotionally detach and not say anything? If you have had a difficult time staying focused on yourself, if you're lonely and feeling anxious or depressed that the one you love is not getting better, please consider checking out the Love Over Addiction program at loveoveraddiction.com/LOA. We can help you. You deserve recovery just as much as they do. And if they're not willing to get help, at least one of you can. Because ultimately, you are in charge of your own happiness. You don't have to feel lonely or worried anymore. We are your community. We are your girlfriends, and we understand exactly what you're going through. And if you're not a group joiner, that's okay too. You can still join the 5-week program and receive just what you need. There are no meetings, there's no childcare required, and you can listen while driving to work or going for a walk or during a crisis on your phone. I hope you decide to join me, and I hope to meet you soon. Okay, here's the deal, and I promise I'll make them fast. I want you, if you have a tendency to research like I do, and you're trying to diagnose the one you love, I want you to ask yourself a couple quick questions. Do you have any books, flyers, pamphlets, bookmarks on websites, or anything else around your house or on your phone that are articles or resources about their addiction? So like, for example, when I was married to my loved one, I had a whole entire section on my bookshelf dedicated to books that are written for people with addiction issues. So there was one like ADHD and addiction. There were memoirs of people that had gotten sober. There was a couple of them from rehabs that were basically an infomercial trying to sell their, reasons for cure, like their ways that they're going to cure your loved one, whatever. If you have any of those and you bought them and your loved one is not reading them, I want you to put them in a box and put them in a closet, in the back of a closet. If your loved one ever experiences or asks for recovery books or tools and says specifically, hey, I'm struggling with my drinking or drug use and I'm looking for books to read, do you have any recommendations? That is the only permission you have to go grab that box out of the closet and say, hey, yeah, as a matter of fact, I do. Here's some books for you to read. If you have bookmarked articles on your phone or you are, following bloggers or whatever that about, addicts that have recovered, I want you to erase them, delete them off your phone. Okay. That takes away from your recovery. The other thing is, I want you guys to check yourself when you talk to friends and family about your relationship with your loved one. Are you getting in the very bad habit, and I know I did for a while, of using them to vent? It's okay to pick one or two people and occasionally mention what's going on. But if you are saying the same stories over and over again to anybody that will listen, you need to check yourself, because that's another way that you are keeping the focus on them and not on your pain. Okay. It sounds like you're talking about your pain because you're talking about a story that hurt you, but it's really not healing or helping you move forward. You're looking for reinforcements of people to A, feel sorry for you, or B, reinforce your anger or or advice that you probably already know. So if you're soliciting, opinions about what you should do, people are going to probably arrive at the same suggestions. Like the first 5 people, you'll get 5 different responses, and then you've probably topped out at those 5 different responses. So you know all the suggestions. In other words, you're fully equipped to make a decision, and you have to be very, very careful about where you take your advice from, because well-meaning friends and well-meaning family can say some things that can set you back. So please be careful and take inventory about your conversations with your friends and family. Lastly, okay, so I have a sister-in-law who is truly one of my favorite human beings on this earth, and we are polar opposites. I am loud and say the truth, and not that she lies or anything, but like I'm always saying the truth, even when I probably shouldn't be, even when everyone's like, shut up, Michelle. That's not necessary to say in this moment right now. I'm the one that's like, blah, blah, blah. So that's me. I'm working on it. I don't know if I'll ever get there because I'm 41. Is this just me? Should I just accept this? I don't know. That's another podcast. But anyways, I am the one that's like, let's talk about the awkward moment. Let's talk about the unresolved conflict. And Tracy is brilliant. She's got a PhD in psychology. She's just got that heart where she's soft and super thoughtful. Like nothing comes out of this woman's mouth before it is really well thought of, and it's so eloquent. Whereas I'm just like, blah. Anyways, I'm not comparing us. I am comparing us, but I'm not saying one is worse or better than the other. We're just very different. But I love that about us because every time I'm with her, I learn from her, and we just learn from each other, and it's wonderful. So she's married to my brother, who I also love. And I know that it sounds like I love everybody, but I love a lot of people. I actually don't like a lot of people that I don't mention on this podcast because I don't want to be negative, but I love a lot of people. So my brother, he is fantastic. Here's the deal. My dad fell and was in the hospital, and he lives in New York City. And my brother got stopped. He works in LA. He works for Sony. He was like, he works out of his house. And so he's like, I can go. I'll get him. I'll take care of him right now. Because I was in the middle of, when he fell, I was in the middle of working on the Love Over Addiction Stay or Go program. And I had my team to manage, and my husband was traveling, so I just couldn't go. I've gone every other time, but this time I was like, I'm so sorry, I just can't go. So Tristan was like, you know what, Michelle, I got it. Don't worry about it. You stay home, which I felt guilty of at first, but then felt like it was the right thing. But anyways, where am I going with this, Michelle? I said this would be really quick. It's not really quick. Tristan was getting ready to go, and he told me on the phone, Tracy packed for him. And my brother is extremely good. This is a trait my father passed down to my brother and I. I think I have this too. Very, very good at giving compliments to his wife. Like, he's always praising her. So he said to me on the phone, he's like, Tracy, God, I love her. She's such a great wife. She's so thoughtful. I don't know where I'd be without her. She packed for me. And immediately I was like, that's exactly what Tracy would do. And she probably put a cute little note in there and some cookies in the bag and whatever. And I was thinking about that as I ended this podcast earlier, because bear with me here. It is easy to hear a story like that and compare yourself to a Tracy, because I know most of you did, because I know I did. I'm like, I've never packed for my husband. I have to pack for my kids, whatever. No, he's a grown man. But here's the deal. It is really easy to get in the comparison trap and hold yourself to the exception of the Tracys and the packing and the thoughtfulness in those gestures. But I want to ask you, is that kind of love and thoughtfulness being reciprocated? Is it, if you did this for your loved one, is it being recognized? Right? So Tristan, my brother, is fantastic at recognizing Tracy's efforts and is so, you can just tell, genuinely moved and touched by them. And Tristan does things for Tracy as well. They kind of both, makes me sick a little bit how much and they're really young too, how much they've always been more concerned about their partner's feelings than their feelings. It's beautiful. And that is the epitome of a healthy marriage. But for you, it would be detrimental to your healing if you were to become a Tracy right now. That would be considered enabling, because your loved one needs to accept accountability and responsibility for the pain that they're causing and get better first. And then after they get sober and they start proving in time that they have changed and that you see them really being grateful for the efforts that you're making, that's when you can become a Tracy if you like. And if you don't, like I'm not, then that's fine too. But please, please do not behave like a mother, because the ones that we love that suffer from addiction tend to behave like children. And it's a role that we can easily step into. We are natural caregivers. We naturally love taking care of people. And we love the praise that comes with that, right? But the problem is that the ones we love with really need to mature and grow up before they even recognize and acknowledge the extent of our gifts and our talents and our care. So for you, it would be actually detrimental to behave in that manner. And obviously, food for thought, the idea would be, the dream, the hope would be to eventually get to a place where it might not be packing like it isn't. I don't pack for my husband, but I do thoughtful things for him every night or every day or every week that I know he recognizes, and he definitely does wonderful, nice things for me back. So that's the hope, that's the dream, that's the goal. You might not be able to get that with the partner that you have right now, or ever. And that's a reality. I couldn't for my first marriage. So just a bit of warning, and it kind of reference back to what I was talking about at the beginning of the podcast, which is just don't fall into this trap of stepping into the mom role and responsibilities. Do that with your child if you have one. Remember when we compared the two, the child to the adult? Please do that for your children. They need that from you. But you reserve the right to not play that role with your loved one. Okay, that's it. I promise. Thank you guys for listening to The Extra. I hope you found that helpful, and I will talk to you later. You know what I find super interesting? That sharing about our struggles with addiction can make us feel ashamed. It is crazy how many successful, wise, funny, and gifted human beings drink too much or struggle with addiction. And if every one of us who loved someone struggling, if we raised our hand and said, "Me too," I think we could say, "Time's up, addiction." For those of you willing to have the courage to leave a review for this podcast, you are directly raising your hand and helping say, "Time's up, addiction." Even though you don't have to use your real name or provide any personal details, when you give us 5 stars or write a review, you're helping women get support. You're saying, this social cause deserves our attention. Because the more reviews we receive, the more women directly know about this podcast. So thank you so much for leaving us a review. It's a small but profound gesture that really makes a difference.